Hey, it's Rafe and Melissa here at the Strength Starts Here podcast. I don't know which episode it is, but I think it's number 8. This is the first time she's been on the podcast.
I'm Melissa, by the way, Rafe's wife.
She's won the USAs in 2014 in women's physique.
Started off in figure in 2012. Did a couple shows there. Just wasn't super comfortable in that division because you got to wear high heels, which I do not ever wear. So I'm super uncomfortable walking in heels on stage. And honestly, I just wanted to be bigger and more muscular because I like to lift. I do this sport because I like to lift.
What division are you in now?
Women's physique.
Women's physique.
But I started in figure, did a couple shows there, did really good, won locally, smaller shows, and then took nationals, and that was not good. Nationals in figure, I looked like a freaking bloated water balloon on stage. It's the worst pictures of myself I've ever seen, and I was very embarrassed of my performance. I got dead last. After that, I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm done with this. Gave myself about a month of just being bitter about it, and then did some research, got in touch with the right people, and found myself a real coach, Shelby Starnes, who's been my coach from 2013 until this day. He turned me pro, and he brought me to my first Olympia. So I have nothing but good things to say about him, and I will stay with him as long as I continue to compete. I trust him with everything I have.
How many shows did you do before you got to the national level and won? So not the national level shows to where you just got to them, but the one you actually won in any, because you can count figure as building the muscle to get to the right size for physique, right? Because physique is just a more muscular, a larger looked figure. So how many shows did it take you to get there?
So I did the 2 figure shows locally, went to national, so that's 3, and then hired Shelby. I did a California NPC show to get my qualification for women's physique, so that was show 4, and then qualified there for nationals. Went back to the USAs in 2014. First time women's physique, 5th show, national stage, won my pro card.
So it's 5
shows.
5 shows. So just for those watching that are just getting started, it just takes time. Yeah. There's very few individuals. There are some, but there's very few individuals that step out there the first time and win a local show, go to the national stage, win a national show. Then from the national show, go right into a pro show and place in the top 5, let alone maybe win it. I mean, there's about 5 guys that I can think of like that, and very few females. So even after you win your pro card, how many years and shows was it until you got enough muscle maturity to place or win at a pro level?
So my first pro show was the Chicago Pro. That was my pro debut. I thought I was freaking badass. I was looking at the competitors. I was like, I got this in the bag. Ha! Dead last. I was tiny compared to those girls. I had hardly any muscle. I had just started. No muscle maturity.
Conditioning was on point.
Conditioning was on point.
Shape was pretty good, just not a lot
tiny.
Of size yet.
My muscle wasn't mature yet. I hadn't pushed myself through hell yet. So got last at Chicago. Went on to do the Phoenix Europa shortly thereafter. I think it was the next year.
Actually. Is that 15?
That was 15, I believe. I could be wrong with my dates here, but I think that's correct. It was either 15 or 16.
16 was when you just started.
So at Europa, I was stoked because I actually placed. I want to say I got 9th out of probably 20 plus, 20-ish. Not sure exactly the number. So I was stoked about that because I was like, wow, I placed at a pro show. That's pretty freaking cool. And then the next year I decided, you know what, like I can prep myself. I know how to do this. I've been doing this for X, Y, and Z amount of time. So I went on to do the Arizona Pro, the Rising Phoenix.
Was that the first year they had it?
It
was close in the first years.
I can't confirm. I don't know. that was in 2017,
16.
So I went on to do that and attempted to prep myself. I thought I was ready. Stepped on stage and again, last call out, didn't place. And then I met Rafe shortly thereafter, and
It
he,
was a couple of weeks.
the kindness in his heart to tell me that I still looked like I was about
I was
3
like,
weeks
you
out.
look good, but you're still a good couple of weeks out yet.
So then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just
So that's what,
change things completely and go to powerlifting.
so that's when we got together and we started the Beast Strong Powerhouse, first location here on the east side of Tucson. Just a small powerlifting gym because we really got into the powerlifting.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that as bodybuilders anyway. I've always powerlifted, but we actually did it competitively at that point. So we spent 3.5, good 3 years just that. So in that time, her body weight, stage weight, when she got back on stage, I mean, I'm skipping through 3 years there. Then she did a lot of powerlifting, did some national records, world records.
I made it to the Kern
Open.
Back at that time was the big event. Now it's the Ghost Clash and
Ghost
whatnot,
Clash,
but
hybrid clash.
used to be the Kern. So I was super stoked. I made it to the
You
Kern.
won that in 2018.
I won my weight class there in the 148s in 2018.
Or was it 19?
No, it was 19 because
2019,
20 was when COVID happened. And then I was supposed to do it in 2020 and then COVID shut it all down. And that was when I made the decision to go back to bodybuilding because I had,
For a couple of reasons.
well, I had injured my back
Yeah.
initially at a smaller local meet, attempting a 468 deadlift I had one girl I was competing
That
with,
far away.
and well, I was competing different weight class. She was in a suit. I still wanted to go head to head with her because why not?
You were within a couple of points.
Yeah, and so I knew in order to beat her in the Wilks score, I had to pull that 468, which I never touched before. But I smoked the 451 without too much struggle. So I gave it hell. I got it up just past my knees, and then my body started doing the shake. And I was holding on as long as I could, and my ripped both of my hands wide open. I was bleeding everywhere. It was a disaster. Nothing hurt initially. After that, it was about 2 weeks later. We got back in the gym. I got under the safety bar, regular squat bar, something, just empty, no weight on it, just the bar. And I couldn't even squat. I couldn't even unrack the bar. I immediately broke down in tears. They think it was my SI joint on one. It would alternate sides though. Like one day it'd be the left side, one day it'd be the right side. So who knows? But I ended up going to physical therapy, having needling and red light therapy and all of that good stuff. And nothing could really touch the pain. It just literally took probably a year total until I could.
Did you learn a lot during that time on kind of your own body as it gets to that high level and kind of what you need to do for?
So I never used to warm up. Like I would just go straight in and just start throwing plates on the bar and just freaking, I was like, oh, I'm fine. Nothing hurts. Like, but now as I'm getting older and then after that injury, now I still don't,
and quite a bit stronger too.
I still don't do as much as I should, but I at least warm up a little bit better than I used to.
And then, so that was kind of it was like, well, shoot, all these things are happening worldwide. The events are kind of being shut down. She had gotten injured and I had gotten injured about the same time, squatting a heavy squat and not sleeping enough. So it was all my fault, but we rehabbed those injuries and got back into the bodybuilding. And she
said, you know what, if I can't power lift, I guess I'm going to go back to bodybuilding because that was when I hurt my back because I can't pick up any heavy deadlift or do any heavy squat to save my life.
She didn't stop lifting though, guys. You gotta remember, we just changed from super 1 rep to 3 rep maxes and went more into.
I did the things I could do that didn't debilitate me or put me in tears. I mean,
there was still
I cried
6 weeks where she would still go in there and cry through the leg sessions because the pain was so intense.
Yeah.
But this is the difference, guys, between, oh, I feel a little tweak here. Well, okay. Or is it pushing it past to injure it even more? You have to work through a certain amount of pain. And it's a very fine line. You have to know your body very well. There's a certain amount that you can push through, and that's just experience of doing it constantly. Her and I both push that line pretty hard, but then we also are matured now and many years under our belt to where we know, okay, I gotta back off for a little bit, or I
Mhm.
gotta, and back off doesn't mean back off weight. It means we're gonna take a day break and then we're gonna come in tomorrow and we're still gonna nail that session. More so that style.
Yeah.
And then go ahead. So we started prepping into that bodybuilding prep, and you just went straight to the Arizona.
I went straight to the Arizona Open, or the Arizona Pro again, the Rising Phoenix. And didn't really know what to expect. Honestly, I hadn't been on the pro stage in 4 years.
But between those 4 years, your body weight was
It was
120s to
140s.
yeah, like high 130s, like 138 or something.
It was a good 15 to 20 pounds of stage weight that I put on. So the look was a whole lot different than it was the prior years. So when I got up there and just freaking took the whole show.
Yeah, it was not even close.
I was like, wow, like I didn't know what to expect. Yes, I saw the roster and I saw who I was competing against, but again, I had been out for so long, hadn't been up there with those girls. Yes, I can look at them but I can't see myself standing in that line until I see the pictures or until I'm actually there doing it. So I went out there and I was in the first call out, moved straight to the middle, and they didn't move me out of the middle. And I was like, is this freaking happening? And then I got my Olympia qualification, and it still took a long few weeks after that for it to set in that I'm going to the freaking Olympia. Like, what the hell?
Mhm.
I don't know what to do. Like, that's the biggest thing in the world of bodybuilding. Everybody ever that competes, that's their end goal. I want to go to the Olympia. I want to win the freaking Olympia ultimately.
And with COVID happening and all that, the show dates weren't the same from previous years. So
yeah,
2021, that was 2020, 2021 comes up and they moved that show into September, keeping the Olympia in October. Was it October or December?
it was
October.
October.
So she was able to double qualify because you went and did
I
the
did.
Arizona Pro again.
Mhm. So I won it in 2020 and in 2021. I was actually kind of hoping the 2021 would qualify me for 2022 Olympia, but it didn't. It was still for 2021. So I double qualified. But in 2020, the show had got moved like, what was it, at least twice?
Yeah,
They had canceled.
It was like September and then moved all the way to like December.
Because of everything that was happening with COVID and everything being shut down and mask this and no large events that. And so it had started planned for September and then they bumped it one time. And then
So it was a
ended up
long
bumping
prep. It was like a 33-week.
It was like, oh, we're 8 weeks out. And then, oh, by the way, the show just got moved. And now you're back to 12 weeks out. And then so we'd start, feeding me again. Yeah, trying to go backwards and then go forwards again. And then I think it ended up getting canceled one more time because it wasn't until December.
Yeah, it was literally like 33 weeks.
It was a very long prep. But
so
we made it. We made it and we won. So that was
that was the 2020. And then 2021, that was in September.
Yeah.
And then about 6 weeks later, 5 weeks later, you were at the Olympia,
Mhm.
which was in Tampa. And now, what's the plans this year?
So now, currently, we are about
we're in the beginning of end of June right now.
6.5 weeks out of the Texas Pro, Battle Up Productions Texas Pro, in Irving, Texas. So that's going to be August 13th, I believe, is the day I compete. And then obviously hoping to secure a win there so I can requalify for this year's Olympia. And then even if I do win, I still plan to do the Arizona Pro again, just because it's home.
The Olympia
it's home and I've won it twice. So I feel like that's my show. I have to do it.
And the Olympia this year is in December again, just from venues from the past and moving it from Tampa, back to Vegas this year. So it's normally that shows in October, or September, October. So they've yet again put the Wings of Strength, the Arizona Pro in front of the Olympia.
It's always a few weeks.
It's the last show to qualify for the Olympia.
Reason being is because it's the women's bodybuilding world championship. So it's like the biggest show for women's bodybuilding aside from the Olympia. So they like to kind of hype everybody up and get all the women, get eyes on all those big time women like Andrea Shaw and Sorry,
got a lot.
Andrea Shaw.
Yeah, and then we got
That's right.
she's coming back to fight for the title or second place.
Kelly?
She's
Kelly
coming back
Trevino.
to.
Like to see Michaela Aycock up there in that top 3.
There's a lot of good faces up
Yeah.
there. We got Mona.
Yeah, she's incredible. Great poser.
There's a couple that we're forgetting right now. They're in the top. They're really good too. So,
Asha Hadley.
Marge
Marge.
probably going to be there this year. Was she on that list? Can't
Mhm.
remember. Yeah,
I'm sure she was.
yeah. She goes to Olympia too. So
They just posted the lineup for the
Wings of Strength.
thank you.
On Wings of Strength, they posted
Right
the
part.
it's
Yeah.
the Wings of Strength Women's Bodybuilding World
Yeah.
Championships. They posted that roster today.
Yeah. So that's all happening November 5th. So that's after the Texas Pro. It's another 12 weeks of continued prep, which, if I know Shelby right, we'll do a little rebound phase for a few weeks to pull me out of my condition a little bit, not like crazy, but just
To the-
fill me up.
To the
Rather.
average eye, she looks stage ready still, but the food will probably double for a
Yeah.
couple weeks, and then
Up the food, fill me back up, and then clear me back out again and bring it home for the Arizona Pro. Thankfully, it's that they changed the venue this year, so that'll be interesting. It's always been at the Talking Stick. This year it's at Wild Horse Resort Ranch, something or another.
they always do it well though.
Yeah, it's always-
well-run show.
Well run, really nice venues always. And it's just so, I don't know, the Pro League is a different animal when you get back there. It's everything is so smooth. Like there is no, you're in and out of there in like 2 hours tops. So that's another perk of getting to that.
And there are
Pro
some good
stage.
amateur shows. We just did the Dennis James Classic, and I haven't been to way too many amateur level shows that aren't tied together with a pro show, but it's really close to pro show quality. It's very nice, very well run. So Dennis James,
And he knocks
Kicks
it out.
ass,
Like
yeah.
none of these long breaks where you're there until freaking 10 o'clock at night and the competitors are exhausted, starving, dehydrated as hell.
So
Like they take a 1 hour break and then boom, boom, boom. 1 hour between prejudging and finals, knock it out. We were out of there by 4 o'clock.
we're going to kind of discuss two lifter bodybuilders, competitors living together in the same house, competing together at the same time, going through the highs and lows of all the fun shit that can show up throughout the process. It's been almost 6 years now we've been together, 5.5. And just maybe a handful of little arguments that whole time. But being that it's always so good, when there is anything, it seems like it's the end of the fucking world, even if it's just a small amount of time. And prep can bring along some of that fun, when you have, running 2 businesses. She's a full-time employee as a charge nurse at Pima County Jail here in Tucson.
Just taking care of criminals.
Training 5-6 days a week, plus cardio dang near every day, multiple times a day. Posing practice, clients she trains online.
Cooking food.
The amount of food that
I do food prep probably every day.
and probably only one of those days would be for her, the rest are for me. So that's pretty outstanding on my end. But you got to work as a team, especially. You got to work as a team if you're living in the same household. I don't care if you're married or not. You got to have communication. And I think that's the basis of everything. Sometimes we're both very driven individuals without each other. And then when we come together, we're even a little bit more driven, especially because we kind of see eye to eye on a lot of things that we do for our passion, which ends up doing everything that we do in our off time, from actually physically working our jobs, training clients. We tend to do everything else together as well. For us, sometimes I've seen people, it's too much being together all the time. I don't think that's so much the cause of any issues we've ever had. I think it's more the fact that it's constantly turned on at 110%, 100% of the time. That's just our personalities. Pipe in here. I gotta shoot, and I always load my schedule so far. I'm always busy. I work 7 days a week. There's not really a time off, so the only time we sit on the couch to enjoy our company is probably an hour
a night, maybe.
not even a night, because it's like 4 days a week, maybe.
Oh yeah, the
Just
nights
we
I go
got
to work.
Then you throw that dynamic in where she's a graveyard shifter, and then I got a lot of day clients, and then you're trying to mesh those schedules at the same time.
We're both tired. I sleep at odd hours because I work overnight. So I do the best that I can to accommodate his schedule on my days off. So I get off work in the morning. We'll hit the gym first thing in the morning. That way we can get our training in together. I'll come home and take a quick nap in the afternoon while he's working. And I'll get up in the evening and continue on with life, do cardio, do my updates, get our food prepped for the next couple of days, start my house chores, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the dogs, that stuff. But yeah, a majority of our arguments or disagreements come from simply the fact that we're both exhausted. We're both hungry. Our hormones are all over the freaking place. And that's just what it is.
I mean, I will preface again, there's not that many arguments. There really isn't. But tends to, when we get more 12 weeks out, these things elevate a little bit because maybe surface or just we're more intense because we have a job to do. We want to win this show. Everything gets turned on at a higher level in all aspects of our life. It's not just like we're going to do a show and our training prep gets more intense. No, our cardio gets intense. The way we schedule our days, the amount of people we work with.
We try to stay just as busy in prep as we do out of prep.
I think we're busier.
Harder.
Yeah, I think we're busier though.
Yeah.
I am definitely busier during prep.
I have more not motivation.
Stamina.
Yeah, like I want to do more when I'm in prep because I feel like if I keep myself busy, I don't sit around and think about the next meal or think about the next time that I have to go do X, Y, and Z. If I just stay busy and I'm just going, there's no time to think.
Well, and a lot of that can be a benefit, and that also can be somewhat negative if you're ignoring the other person because you're so driven. And it might not even be a subconscious, and it might even be a conscious thing. It might be a subconscious thing to where it's like, here's what I'm doing, and I'm on that path, and where the hell are you? And then it comes together. Well, I think what we're trying to get at is here, you have to spend that time at least once a week to kind of lay out the week. There's nothing wrong with two individuals busting their ass to a goal individually, but when you coexist together in the same household or run a business together, or, she does a ton of the cooking for me because I eat probably 7 times what you eat. I mean, it feels like that.
I actually eat 3 whole food meals, I guess you would say. My other 3 meals are like on the go shakes with oatmeal, which I don't necessarily always cook. But he eats fish,
meals.
chicken, bison, and it's a variety of items. So I'm constantly cooking. And then of course his food could change every week. So the food choice, like I've got extra of everything always cooked and frozen, but then come Friday when it's update time, well, then the food's changed. So now I need to go to Costco again. Oh, by the way, they know me on a first name basis at Costco. They also know what my cart consists of. So when they do their little receipt check, it doesn't take but 4 seconds.
How many employees do Costco do we probably provide wages for? We spend a grip there, but
yeah. And it's weekly. Sometimes twice a week I go there. It's almost embarrassing how many times I go in there and they're like, oh, we don't need to see your membership card. We already know you.
So she's eating 3 meals that are whole food.
But mine are very small. So
they're probably not even a total of 10 ounces of
Yeah.
meat protein, where I'm eating 3 pounds cooked meat protein a day, plus the shakes, plus, the pre-workout, intra-workout, post-workout, morning shakes, all the amino stuff. So I just consume a lot more to be a certain size, and just being a male in general, it's just a little different from a female to male. So there's a ton of work there. She provides a lot of that help because I'm training clients 7 days a week. She's, we've recently backed off to a couple of days at the jail for her a week, where she's picked up a couple of clients, and also just picks up the rest of the stuff that I can't get to during the week. So, it has to be teamwork. It would be very hard for me to do what I'm doing there without her help. So I don't know what happened. It was like 3 weeks ago, we had a little disagreement of something. And like she said, it really comes down to, we're probably a little sleep deprived by the time we get there. It's probably the end of the day. We probably haven't eaten. So it's just maybe structuring your time where you set up your weekly meeting, on a Sunday, on maybe your off day, where you're having breakfast, and you're not dealing with a ton of clients, maybe in the AM, and you can actually set up your week. I have this laid out with clients. These are the things that I have to do. Same thing with her. She's, I got these days to work. These days I have to train. Got to get the tanning in. Got to get the posing practice in. Got to get all the cardio in. All the food prep in. It becomes quite a bit. And I think that us being workaholics, a little more type A personality, where nothing gets backed off because we add something to our life. So a lot of people say, okay, I'm getting into prep. We're going to just pause on this till we're through this day. For us, I feel like once we go into prep, business picks up,
Everything elevates.
everything picks up, and I'm working till 3 a.m. We're trying to still get our sleep, and so everything picks up. So there's just, regardless if you're in prep or not, I think that has a little weight on a little strain on a relationship, or can have a strain on a relationship. Melissa's awesome though. She's very understanding. I've never met someone that's that understanding.
It makes it a lot easier when you're both doing the same thing. The other person has to understand what you're going through in order for everything to mesh. Like I'm not saying relationships where the other person doesn't partake don't work out. It does, I'm sure, a million times over.
Probably more common than not that they're not competing together, but
when you're both competing at a very high level, it's a little bit different. I mean, because our entire lives revolve around this. They revolve around the gym. They revolve around doing cardio, revolves around cooking the food, revolves around getting everything that we need to get done on a daily basis done, while still performing at our highest level to try to win these freaking shows.
And not only that, we own
2 gyms,
2 gym locations. We train clients at both locations as well, along with the trainers that we have as well. But I mean, just running 2 locations, if I didn't do any one-on-one training myself, is enough work. Before we do all the programming for the clients, all of our, going to the shows for the clients, whether powerlifting, strongman, hosting events at our gyms. So it's quite busy, and we love it. I mean, I love it to death, and I like staying busy. It's very hard. Every now and again, I'm like, can we just have one day off? Doesn't really work that way. So it's more of, I've accepted maybe a morning or 2 a week, towards as long as I don't have to rush out of the house, I can get up, do my cardio, eat, maybe do some paperwork.
We do a lot of eating on the road.
Yeah.
It's always the last minute in the morning. Cardio's done, update's done. Need to be at the gym at 9:30. It's 9 o'clock. Better cook the food real quick, jump in the truck and drive while I eat, and as long as I have 1 or 2 days a week where I can sit at home and comfortably eat my meal and not be scarfing it down while I'm driving 100 miles an hour to get somewhere on time, it doesn't bother me too much. But when you have to do it every single day, that can be a little rough.
We're intense. I'm a very intense individual, and as you get, there's something to be said about when you're fat and happy, right? You're eating a lot of food. Things, the pressure isn't as hard, right? Because you have that little buffer of calories to keep that, a little bit of extra stress off the shoulders. But as soon as you start dropping some of those carbohydrates and the satiating foods, protein is a satiating food, but if that's all you're eating, it tends to get a little monotonous. But some of the, when you drop your calories, you actually get a little bit more energy, because when you're pushing such a high calorie, you kind of,
Feel
Yeah.
bogged down.
you ever see a bull, he's just laying in the corner while everybody else is roaming around. He's just chilling over there. Everybody else is moving. He's fat and happy. He's fed and he's big. He's just laying there. And that's kind of how you feel in the off season. But once you get into prep and the calories start coming down a little bit, the output goes up a little bit more. So you have a little bit more fatigue all the time, I guess. It
You
feels
start off the day going
strong.
real good. And then all of a sudden after we train, so generally we get up, do cardio, have our first meal, maybe 2 meals, depending on the day, hit the gym, get our training in. By the time we get home, 3, 4 in the afternoon, it's like
But
downhill.
our days start at that 6:30, and that downhill starts at 3 or 4, and we got clients till 8.
Yeah.
And it's rare that we ever get to bed before midnight.
Sometimes you gotta pop a little extra caffeine, maybe a little Adderall, whatever you gotta do to get by,
But you got to get your rest too. So, there's one day a week that we allow to sleep in a little bit, and it's Sunday, and man, I just can't.
Our
sleep
bodies
like
are
past
programmed.
7 or 7.5 hours anyway. So
He's always up 6, 7 o'clock, and I'm always up even on the weekends now. The latest I'm freaking awake at 8 o'clock, and for me that's early. I used to be like an 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Now 8 a.m. my body wakes up. It's
just getting your lifestyle in a routine too. That's you practice it every single day, and there's no excuse. You have to do this every day to be at the level we want to be. I'm not going to do anything that's half-assed, so I'm going to be all in all the time. That can be a very good thing. It also can be a little bit much if you are not communicating with your partner. And like she said earlier, it does benefit that we both understand the process, because then you can understand when someone's feeling really tired and shitty and is super quiet. And it's like, what, is she mad at me? Is there something wrong? No, it's just a long freaking day. She just did 7 days in a row that were 12, 15 hours of physical work. And then you go into the prep and the cleaning of the house and the care of the dogs and, everything else the guy's got to do to keep the house and the business
super OCD, type A, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I like everything meticulous all of the time. So when I come home and things are a mess, I'm going to immediately stop everything else that needs to get done. And I'm going to clean everything and make sure everything is prim and proper. And then I will continue on. I don't care how tired I am. Even when I come home from work in the morning, I'll spend an hour after work in the morning just cleaning everything up and getting it the way I expect it to be, because I can't comfortably sit down and eat my breakfast or go to sleep knowing that things are not the way I want them to be.
And I appreciate all that, but
personality.
But you got to mesh. Like if I was always sitting on the couch while she's doing all the work, that's just not fair. But so, you got to come together as a couple and understand the process and work together as best as possible. And I think you can get so driven in your own lanes, doing the same thing, but just going hard, that you forget to have those conversations. And I think that's sometimes when shit comes to the surface, you're like, we're literally fighting about a broken light bulb, but it's the fact that we just need to sleep. I'm doing this week, you're doing this. Okay, we both know what's going on, and cool, make the adjustments then when you're happy in the morning after your carb meal or one of your best meals, the first thing, and then you can kind of plan the rest of the week after that.
Like I say, every meal is my favorite meal. Every time I eat it, I'm like, oh, that's my favorite meal. But really,
yeah, that breakfast tends to be the best.
Breakfast is good. All of them are good. I just want more.
Yeah.
There's not one that I don't like, because I don't eat fish.
And I've kind of owned the process this year. Last year tended to be, it was 18 years since I've been on stage, but a long time since I did almost 20 years of perma bulking. It was a long time since I had to actually be a little self-disciplined on the amount of food I'm just shoving into my fat face all the time. I'm pretty good at doing it, and I love to do it, but I don't, I'm getting older now. You got to be healthy. So you got to limit those cheats, size meals, depending on where you're at in your training cycle, whether it's your off season, on season, growth season, or health season, however you want to look at
And there's
it.
plenty of ways to make even prep food or whatever you want to call it taste good. Everything we make tastes delicious.
Yeah.
Like people say, oh, I don't want to eat plain chicken or plain beef or this, that. You don't have to eat it plain. There's tons of sugar-free, calorie-free seasoning.
A lot of rubs,
Yeah.
salts, herbs, spices, vegetables that you can toss in there to make it taste good. And
there's plenty of ways to cook everything to make anything and everything taste good.
I think sometimes that's maybe we hear this from other competitors that just like to, and they're probably not high level if they're complaining about, oh, I gotta eat fish again, I gotta do that. Well, you know what? How bad do you want that goal that you're going for? You know, it's
Think about
food,
the
it's
end goal.
sustaining life, and you got to realize food is a fuel for the body. Yeah, you can. It doesn't have to be cheesecake every meal, but you can still enjoy, you know, a well-grilled chicken breast with some sugar-free barbecue sauce if that's your taste.
That's my jam.
Or what do I like to
You guys
do?
are wondering, G. Hughes, sugar-free barbecue sauce, all the flavors, delicious. That's my go-to.
All right, so just a little recap here. A little introduction to Mel here. Miss Beast 25. What is your Instagram handle?
Miss Beast _ IFBB Pro 25, right?
Yeah.
Or is it I don't even know. Maybe it's IFBB Pro _ No, it's Miss Beast.
We'll put it in the
Yeah.
we'll put it in the
I don't look at my own, whatever you call that.
Instagram name.
Yeah.
I know what mine is.
Well, yours is easy. Yours is one word, Rafe Boss. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Miss Beast, MISS Beast _ IFBB Pro 25.
Also, you know, we talked a little bit about the communication with your spouse or your significant other, that person you're living with. You don't even have to be married to them, but if you're in the same, you know, maybe you're a college kid, you got a couple of buddies you're living with. Well, shit can still get a little bit intense if you're not communicating well and setting boundaries. You know, boundaries are important as well, especially in that type of a scenario. Just mapping it out. You know, it's the saying that I 100% of the time mess up. You are setting yourself up for success by preparing to succeed.
Prepare to succeed, or you're preparing to fail, basically. I don't know how the actual saying goes, but that's the moral of the story.
So I think you
set
got
yourself up for success, or you're going to set yourself up for failure.
You got to do that in all aspects of your life. It's not just your training and your meals, but the people that you're around, your job, your workplace.
Going to work,
sure
you're traveling, cook your food, prep your meals, take everything with you. Don't have these excuses. You don't need to go to a freaking restaurant and get a chicken breast. They're not going to cook it the way you need it cooked. They're not just going to grill it with nothing. Trust me. They're going to cook it in oil. They're going to cook it in butter. They're going to put it on a grill that's had who knows what on it. It is not the same. It is not the same.
You can order egg whites at a restaurant and tell them I don't want any oil, but I guarantee you
there's butter in the pan.
There's something on there.
You wonder why it tastes better than what you cook at home, because there's butter or canola oil or whatever crap they use.
Yeah, 16 weeks out, that stuff's you
Prep
can't
your
even
damn
do
food.
it.
Bring your own stuff with you.
If you're wondering why your look looks different than others, and you're the kind that's going, well, I'll just pick up this from here, pick up that from there. How do you really know? When you buy the meat raw, you wash it, you prep it, you cook it yourself, you know exactly what's happening to it. Yeah, no one else is thinking like us at the restaurants. They're like, well, we need a lot of shortening in order, the way this stuff's going to burn, not going to taste right. I mean, it's all about satisfying the customer in that realm. There's very few restaurants, even the ones that are bodybuilder style, they still are going to be used. They might be a little bit closer, but they're still going to be having things in there that you don't have control over.
Yeah, like the
not all the cooks.
Kryptonite.
Yeah, not all the cooks are pros themselves. I mean, the pro might start the restaurant and they might have their lineup, but you just never know. So you be safe, prep it yourself.
Yeah.
And also take a deep breath before you start spouting out shit just because you felt a certain way, because you took it personally. You know, whether someone's not talking.
I'm the quiet one. When I'm angry, hungry, exhausted, whatever, that's not me on my normal feelings, I'm quiet. I stay quiet. it drives him crazy.
Well, I can handle it for 2 days, but then after that, I'm like,
But I'm not pissed off at him. I'm not pissed off at anybody. I'm just irritable because I'm hungry, tired, exhausted, whatever it may be.
so mapping out your week, you can really work on those things to make sure you're getting the sleep. Because I think more so than anything, you can deal with a little bit of hunger, but when you're exhausted, everything goes to shit. So make sure you're getting your sleep. I think that's super key, especially for stress, cortisol release in the body. And that is so detrimental to a physique, especially in those last important weeks into a show. I mean, you can hold the water, your body won't respond well.
Drink your damn water.
You've had it happen to you, and I had it happen to me in the last 2 preps, where there was a little bit of water retention because of this, traveling for you to the Olympia was just, you couldn't fucking handle it. You were just freaking out. Flights were canceled. Shit
They
like that,
freaking
man.
told us 15 minutes before we were supposed to leave that the flight's canceled and they can't fly us out till the next morning when I need to be there the next morning. So that threw me for a loop.
So
I
take
looked
those
like
things
dog
by
shit.
stride. Make sure you have enough time. So if that does happen, you're like, no problem. Got the meals here. Sit down, take a fucking nap. If it's 24 hours before you get the next flight, so be it. But be ready for that. Give yourself enough time. Don't be this guy that's like, well, I'm gonna be there on Thursday to compete Friday. So I'm gonna flight come in at 3. I'm gonna be there at weigh-ins.
Don't do that. Give
Unless you're
yourself-
60 shows into this and you are just really good at that, which I know some guys that are that, but if you ain't 60 shows into it, and even for some of those guys at the higher tier levels, you're gonna be pulling down some percentages of your overall look. So, well, I think we've said enough. If you have any questions, if you want to hear more from the Beast or the Boss, please leave it in the comments. Like and subscribe. Share this with your buds. We'll see you
Ding
next
the
time.
bell.
Yeah, ding that bell. Get these notifications. We'll see y'all next time.
Later.